I'm very excited today that we will be reading our Rose City readers from a group of stories in Oregon Reads Aloud with special permission from Graphic Arts. Let's start with the introduction. The introduction, Sarah Gets Smart, by Jane Kirkpatrick and illustrated by Melissa Delzio. First grader Sarah sat at her desk and tugged at her ear. Her mother called it her nervous habit. "Who's ready to start reading?" asked Mrs. Benson, the school librarian. The older kids raised their hands. They'd been through this before. Sarah pulled harder on her ear. She wanted to be ready, but she was scared. She heard that smart volunteers loved to read. She hoped that they could help her love to read too. "To read is to unveil a mystery," Mrs. Benson said. "A mystery?" Amal asked. "Sure. There's a mystery in every story," Mrs. Benson explained. "Will the llama find her mama? Will the princess kiss the toad? We read to find out, don't we? The author also wants us to discover the mystery inside of each of us." "I don't have a mystery inside me," Amal said. "We're all full of mysteries, Amal. We each like different kinds of stories. And that tells us something about who we are and who we might become. Another mystery you may be wondering about is why smart volunteers read with you." "Because they like us," said Marianne. "Yes, they do like you," Mrs. Benson said. "But they also know reading helps you see new worlds and new ways to be in the world." Madison raised her hand next. "I always feel better after reading with my volunteer. She makes me laugh, and then I try harder to read the words I don't know. She helps me. She says she'll never stop reading, and neither will I." Mrs. Benson smiled. "That's what SMART is all about, helping kids read and get excited about books. Soon we'll discover the mysteries inside the books and inside ourselves." She pulled out a piece of paper. "And now it's time to meet our volunteers." Sarah's heart beat a little faster as Mrs. Benson read the names off the list. Finally, it was her turn. "Sarah, come meet Mr. Ortiz." A large man with a beard like Santa Claus stepped forward and shook her hand. "Hello, Sarah," he said. "Are you ready to pick out a book?" She picked up a book. "Beatrice's Goat," Mr. Ortiz said, grinning. "Great choice." "You've read it before?" Sarah was surprised. "Many times," Mr. Ortiz said. "When my daughter was young, it was her favorite. I bet you I can read this story together. Would you like to try?" Sarah nodded. She did want to try. All around, she could hear the quiet voices of children and grown-ups starting to read their stories, and slowly, Sarah began page 1. "If you were to visit..." She sounded out each word, and Mr. Ortiz helped her when she couldn't make out the letters. Together, they looked for the mystery inside the story, and Sarah hoped to discover, through reading, the mystery inside herself. The end. Jane Kirkpatrick is the author of over 25 books and historical novels. She lives in Central Oregon and is a great friend of SMART.